Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we have a top 8 breakdown for the Grand Open that happened out in Germany this past weekend for the Battle Spirit Saga card game. And real quick, a bit of apologies just for maybe the sound and not being on screen. I am on the road right now, so apologies for any delay or anything else because of that. But we do have this top 8 breakdown right here, which you guys can go to my website, linked in the description, that has all of these deck lists if you want to see it. But this also kind of is an important event too, because this is the first event that has the TP promos legal for the Battle Spirits card game. So we're going to be in this meta for about a month, and then we also get the expansion set at the end of June, which will maybe make some difference there as well with the 9 cards introduced as well. But this is kind of how we're seeing it as well. And in this top 8 breakdown of about 128 players, as I've heard for this event, we did have 2 red Terrasaurs, 2 white controls, and then essentially 3 different purple decks. They're all a little bit different, and honestly I've had a hard time categorizing purple in different archetypes, because a lot of them use a lot of the same core, and like the top end is just usually a little bit different for that there. And then we also did have a yellow Fabled Beast deck with a cool little Alice tech too that we'll go over. But again, here are these lists. Congratulations to all our players into this top 8. We're going to look at the top placing list in each one of these archetypes, starting off with our first place list, which is Aandroidd Lee's purple mid-range, which is how I'm calling it. It is a little bit more of a little bit of shadow, which even though that doesn't thematically make any difference there. A little bit of curse as well, since like we have like the assassin and like Aglavale. We also do have like Camelot Knight, which has always been very, very strong. So it's just kind of like a kind of just advantage that you get over time. You're able to get a lot of draw from each one of your nexuses, either Purple Smoke Valley, Rotting Swamp, or the Netherworld Depths. Each one has essentially a different way to draw cards, which is great. 3 copies of Core Drain, which is really good for getting rid of spirits. A 1-for-1 trade is usually after you already take damage, and also it's only 3 cores from something exhausted, so that's a little rough at times, but that is nice. And then also the like Deadly Balance, good 1-for-1, being able to get removal with either Earth Spider or Mordred to core theft. So it's just, again, just very tempo based, and kind of go from there. And then we do have a couple copies of Maduke at the top end, just to, I would assume, have an out for like a white control list, because normally they kind of set up for this, but this just kind of forces your opponents to take damage and puts them on a clock a lot of the time, so it's very strong. And then just kind of more top end in the side, and 4 copies of Angelic Pressure, which is again pretty good for outing a lot of cards in white, since it reduces something by 3k BP. The only issue I find with Angelic Pressure is that 3k is also the same kind of number for Burning Force, so if your opponent's playing around Burning Force, they're also playing around Angelic Pressure, so a little bit tough there. But you can also have Angelic Pressure into Burning Force. Only issue with that is that obviously those are 2 off colors, so it can be kind of expensive for that. But anyways, this is the list. Congratulations to Aandroidd for their finish there. Next up we have our, we're just going to go through all the purple, actually, just to kind of get out of the way and kind of show, like, yeah, a lot of these are running a lot of the same cards, honestly. So I would say this is more of like a top-end control build of it in a lot of ways, just because we do have 4 copies of the Cursed Dragons, and also 4 copies of Baculus. So this is Long's version of this list. So more into ways to interact and do some good trades with your opponent. So 4 spiders and 4 Mordreds as well. 4 copies of Beldegor, and then as you see, just a lot more of like the I go 1-for-1 with you. I can get rid of your cards, get some good trades with it. 2 copies of Maduke also at the top end, and an additional copy in the side. And then also having we saw in the first place list they used Firewall. Spirits with 4k or fewer can attack for the turn, and also when you lose a life, select one of your spirits that gains 4k during this turn, and then so it can get like some good defense properties too, potentially. So it's an interesting kind of like additional copy of Ice Wall. But I like the idea of Bloody Rain too. So select one spirit, you get plus 2k if you need to on the main flash, but also burst. When you lose life, your opponent can attack with spirits during this turn unless they remove a core from it and place it into their reserve. And then which is kind of nice for the fact of, like, if they have a card with Fola out, they can't actually attack with it because they can't pay the cost, and you can give like a little handy 2k boost for something if you need it too. So I don't know, interesting little text there. I'm not sure if they came out as much. And also the longer I've seen this card, the more I like it. I know it's sometimes just looked as like a worse version of Burning Force, but the fact that you get to do it for free 3 is fantastic. I feel like obviously again 3K is like the no zone in a lot of ways. It's the magic number in this game that there's a lot of removal for 3K. So bumping something up to 4K can be really important in that way. So, but anyways, I like this. I like this list too. And congratulations to Long for their finish. And our last purple deck we're going to look at is Nicola's Nemesis build. So this is a really interesting build too. So it's kind of has a lot of the weenies at the bottom too, but then you also have just 4 copies of Nemesis. And I don't think anyone's really decided if this card's really good or really bad yet. Some people swear by it. It's like the best card in the deck, and some others say I've tried it. It's never worked out. I'm always feeling like it could be something better. So it's just like in a weird spot, but being the fact like this can draw 2, the fact that it can trade really well into other cards is great. It's just like a little bit expensive in my experience, but it works really well, especially with something like Deadly Balance can be great too with it, and just getting your own procs, which means that Rotting Swamp works incredibly well with this card too, being able to get some additional card draw. And I've been working on my own like purple builds with this, where you try to just get a lot of advantage from going, doing trades with your opponent, but then getting additional boost from your trades. So I don't know. It's like an interesting card, and it works well with Egglevale. It works well with Beldegor as well, because then you get some draws. So I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about it quite yet. I think it can be very good, but I'd have to try this out personally. Maybe I will in the next little bit. But Nemesis is a really interesting card, and again, I think it's still the course out of session if people think this is a good card or not. Again, some people swear by it, and some are like, nah, I've tried it. It looks really good on paper. It never works out, but it gets you top 8 in a Grand Open and an invite, so probably pretty solid there. So again, congratulations to Nicola for their top 8 finish there. Next up, we're going to look at Terrasaur. So this is Mike's version, and not a lot of change since it's been hitting the scene. We did get first place in Palm Springs a couple weeks ago. So the deck is tried and true as something very strong, and obviously I think it's like just like the best like aggressive deck. It's very straightforward for deck building for something like this. Usually very straightforward to play. There are some tech cards in this one, including like Durmdina. Usually can get like a sneak win if you need to. Suppression is good on offense and on defense, which is fantastic. Just like another copy of Ice Shield if you really need it. And then also we do have the new TP card Swordosaur. Only running 1, and I'm unsure if this is just due to how many they are able to acquire, or they only wanted like 1 to test it out, but it can get some benefits for you, being able to get the plus 2 KBP when attacking, but also being able to refresh it when one of your other spirits is blocked. So kind of interesting dynamic there, and I'm pretty sure it works with Confront too, since you can attack with this, and then if you confront with your big boy, they have to block, so then it can get that bonus there. And you can get in some weird situations with it too. So it's neat there. I don't think you're running, they're only running 1 between main and side, so that's interesting. And then the sideboard has Andromeda if you need some Nexus destruction, as well as just some more kind of white support cards, including Suppression, which again, this card, the more I see it, the more I feel like it's just one of the best cards in the game. Like I know Ice Shield's probably more better. It's just like an actual defense card, but since this is like can be an Ice Shield, but also can trade with a card on your opponent's board, I think is very handy as well. So anyways, that is Mike's list, and congratulations for their second place finish there. Next up we have Abdul with their white control build, and we do see a little bit more of these TP cards in this build. Specifically, we see like the Axe Biter, which this card's still, in my mind, pretty obnoxious. I know some people say it's not as good, and I can see it can sometimes be a little bit slow, but being able to have armor purple yellow for 1 can be nice, especially since we are seeing a little bit more yellow right now. Purple did win the event, so having armor against purple is probably pretty strong, but also the level 2 effect of near the spirit or any white nexus with a soul core on it can be destroyed by your opponent's destruction effects, or as a result of battle, and they cannot have their cores removed by your opponent's effects. So being able to say like this just can't be destroyed by a lot of things is very good. So being able to use this with perhaps like a suppression means that you have like just a better version, like another version of Elk a lot of the time, which is also a little bit cheaper. It is a mecha and not a machine beast, which is kind of impactful, but there's that. You also aren't running any nexuses in the main, so that's important, but if you do want to attack in your Rocket City, you can do that. In general, yeah, Pegasaur also very good. You can have the Soul Core to get the block on there, so you don't need the suppression, and just everything. Also, the Lyomel, I don't see this often, but it is armor purple, which again, if you are trying to really get purple out of control, like that's very good. And when the spirit blocks, select one of your opponent's spirits that cost 2 or fewer and return to the top of their deck, which I think is present in this. Obviously, it's a level 2 effect, so you do have to spend some cores on it, but that is kind of handy. And then, obviously Elephant, 4 copies of Feral Slash as well as 4 copies, or 3 copies of Burning Force mean you have a lot of potential destruction. 3 copies of Starblast Draw in the side if you need that too. And again, white control is very good. The only other thing is like Enterprises in this deck. That's been seeming more and more like a greedy pick. I've been seeing like a lot of people just don't have time to play this, and it's kind of a win more. But I can see why it's in this build too. So lastly, Turbo Rex in the side too. So you have to ascend this, which isn't too terrible to do. But also, during your opponent's step, you may select one of your opponent's spirits at the start of the step if possible. That has to attack. But also, when the spirit attacks, you can select one of your opponent's spirits that does not have ascend and return to their hand. So that's not too bad. So you can kind of do well with, if you have this out, you can attack with it. And then if you even have something like Numengard to get a refresh to mean that you can still get your turn, I think that's good there. So anyways, talked a lot about this list. Abdul, congratulations for their finish there. And the last deck of the day, we do have Jorit with this top 8 with Alice, Fabled Beast, which again, we haven't been seeing Alice really pop up as much at least since the release of this game, but it can be kind of handy. So when the spirit attacks, select one of your opponent's spirits, reduce this BP by 1k for each spirit you control during this turn. And if you're able to make a wide board, which yellow generally is pretty good at doing, you can get a lot of good destruction effects there. Then also for 3 during either attack step, if you control 3 or more spirits, when the spirit would be destroyed, you may place a core from the void onto it to keep it on the field exhausted instead. So this is great, especially like if your opponent has like something like Deadly Balance. This kind of invalidates that card, which is really good because you get to just ramp and not make it, like you can just always choose this card, and you just have like a lot of staying power too. So and I think I could be wrong. I don't have a lot of experience with this card. I think if you attack with this card and then they try to get rid of it, you can just put a core onto it, and then your attack continues because it doesn't destroy it and it doesn't remove it from the field. I could be wrong on that. Let me know in the comments, but I'm like 99% sure that's how that works, so that's kind of cool. And then most of the core is just the Fabled Beast stuff. So surprisingly, only 2 copies of Paradise. This normally is a 4 of in a lot of builds that I see, but again, once you see 1 or 2 copies, you really don't need anything for. You don't need more most of the time. Pentan's great, especially since you do want to be playing a lot of off-color magic cards. So Suppression, again, as we talked about, is very good. Dream Bomb is good, and then a couple of the skill-less Fabled Beasts too. So Carbunk has been getting more popular. Gale Yale as well, and being a 4K for 1 is really impactful, especially since there's again that 3K destruction is usually the level of easy destruction in this game. So being able to get around that, and just really everything else. And then the side honestly just has a lot of magic cards that you can tack in and kind of get to where you really need it to also. So anyways, like this list, congratulations to Jorit for getting their top 8, with this one making sure yellow's represented in there. And again, no dual eagles in this build, so I'm not sure if that's just a decision or if they just didn't happen to have the cards, because I know they are a little bit newer and a little bit expensive right now, but I wonder if that was a choice or a concession as well. But anyways, that is there, and that is all of our top 8 breakdown there. So again, shouts to all of our winners, and I do appreciate getting these lists put on the website, so I do thank you to everyone who contributed to that. And that should be it for this breakdown. So again, thank you for watching. Let me know what you guys think about the new TP format that we have right now, any decks that you guys are excited for, and that's going to be it for me. So again, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.
Damn it.